I'm just gonna get stuck in. I have no idea what I'm gonna do yet. All I know is I want to make a dark and grim, Brian Eno esque wad of sound. And I've said this before on streams, but I'm gonna say it again because I will die on this hill. But if you haven't listened to On Land by Brian Eno, you should. And then think about when this was made and how it was made. And yeah, that's kind of the inspiration for stuff like this when I do these. I don't even know what you'd call them. Soundscapes? I don't know. I don't even. Let's just do something here and get stuck in with the joy and the majesty. Um let's see. We are for sure going to make use of the R bar today because, well, because it's perfect for that. Um, so we need to decide on a key first. I feel like C minor might be just easy because it's just there. I'm not going to use too much in the actual regular sequencers, maybe. So, um, maybe what I do is I hit splice first and I put in something like choir, like a choral sample. That'd be cool. I mean, we can do choir stuff just by using the DAW and sampling. That would be a thing to do too. But let's just put this in C minor and see what we can come up with in about 2 minutes. And if not that, I think I used this before. That sounds familiar. Nope, no jazz. Whoa, no, nope. Gospel, probably don't need that. That's weird. Nope, jazzy. So I like the sound of this because it's very, very basic and there's only like one note playing, which is perfect. So let me get this into the looper, the Preterio Versio over here. And now I need to redo everything because I realized that when you talk into the microphone, it goes through that cable. So it got recorded. Now we need to turn regen down all the way until it dies away. Okay. Okay, that'll do it. So 2 different samples played in there twice. 3 times total, actually, because 3 times. Because math. So what the Preterio Versio does, though, is it sort of layers the recordings on top of each other. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's a very unique sound, and I really, really like it. But I recently learned of the Repetita Versio, which is like another looper. But it sounds to me like it might be better for things like clocked. This thing doesn't clock or sync or anything, it just does the thing, which I can dig and I can kind of respect that. But there are times when I would love clock. Now I want to test something really quick. I just want to test reverb, see how the reverb sounds. See, that's ridiculous. And the amount of like slapback in this is annoying. But it might be okay. Okay, yeah, y'all can shut up though. Alright. Yeah, it's kind of a ridiculous reverb, but we need that. And we're gonna crank just the delay time like up a ways. Unclocked. We're not really dealing. Clock is on, but it's at 60 BPM, so it's really kind of like barely enough to even register. So this is a thing, and it's doing its thing. And it's fairly lovely. Let's sloths this boy into the volt per octave. Well, that'll be just a nice backdrop going quite a lot. Sort of do want it to fade out and be non-existent though. So let's turn the filter down a little bit and then we'll just kind of let it do its thing, you know? Okay, so there's our sort of there's a foundation. I have an idea. It might be kind of cool. I'm trying to think of something to put into Stardust. And I feel like we kind of maybe need voices for that. I don't know who that's going to be. It's got to be some old-timey speech. Hmm. Ah, damn it, there's music in the background. Damn it. Okay, that's probably good enough. No, I'm not making noise. I was recording, and then I wanted to have a big chunk of silence at the end, so that I could just have it just free loop, just do its thing and just loop. It's going to be spooky phantom voices, though.
Came to the conclusion in 1902 that he had to renounce the use of these powers for his personal ends or he'd be lost, and he made a vow that he would never use them except to help people or to further the work. And he kept that vow. This is one reason why he...
And then there's big silence. So let's reset. Buddy, you're supposed to play. Why for you no play? Eh? Eh? Eh?
But
there it is.
He described in his own third series in the Life is Real Only Then When I Am, how he came to the conclusion in 1902 that he had to renounce the use of these powers for his personal ends or he'd be lost. And he made a vow that he would never use them except to help people or to further the work.
Okay, now let's also...
He kept that vow. This is one reason why he...
slow it down a little bit. Hello?
The use of these powers for his third series in the Life is Real. He described in his own third series. But he described in his own third series in the Life is Real Only Then When I Am, how he came to the conclusion in 1902 that he had to renounce the use of these powers for his personal
he has powers,
or
bro.
he'd be lost.
He has powers.
He made a vow that he would
Somebody's got powers
to help people or to further the work.
Let's use the really slow slots, the inertia, and we'll put that in the filter directly. And that way, like, it'll just come in and out. Sometimes it'll be playing, but there's a lot of silence in that recording. Honestly, we could even rewind the beginning for the start point, because it seems like I recorded a whole shitload of silence in the beginning too, which is weird, because I don't remember doing that. Anyways, here's our background, our weirdness. I'm going to fire up Reason. And there's a good reason. Ha 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 ha. I made joke. Ha 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 ha. Oh, do I even have it down? If I don't have it downloaded, I'm going to be pissed. There's an instrument, and it's called the Aura. There it is. I have it here. The Aura 7. Cinematic Atmosphere. And it's part synth, like Rompler, basically. Part like environment noise. It's really weird. I like it. It's very, very quirky and new. And you get these weird sounds like this. That's a fun one. And we'll kind of like see. That's a really weird one. I love it though. That's nifty. In fact, I think I kind of want two of those. See, too much noise. When you throw that through the R bar and granularize it, it's just going to be noise. See, that's cool, but like, no. Same thing. Like, do a bunch of wind. Even this, that's not going to be good. Low noise. Yuck. This might be okay. Okay. That's some spooky shit. Nothing from Reason, huh? Well, it's too late. I just closed it down. What the hell? That's dumb. It should be working. I literally have a thing set up right there. It says Reason. And it was working before. And now it's like, nope. Gonna not work now. For no reason, by the way. So, suck it, human. Ha! Where should we put this duder? How's about through the neutron? That seems like a good idea. And we do need to move the playhead. We need to sweep the leg, Johnny. We need to sweep the playhead, and I don't exactly know. Maybe go like the independent super slow sloths. That'd be interesting. And then put it on the omega layer, so it just goes through all of them. It's gonna go real slow though. That's kind of the problem. Anyways. Need 2 identical cables. Give me 2 identical cables, please, for the love of God. And make them long enough to actually reach. I don't need 2 of the identical semi-short purples. Got a bunch of purple cables that are like 14, I think they're like 14 inches long. It's sort of a weird length. This guy. We're gonna crank up gain, because the R-bar always needs it. Now, if we had no spray on and none of this, what's this guy gonna do? It's gonna do nothing. Okay, what if you spray with no grain generation? Okay, there's that. Now you can do some interesting stuff. You could sporadically generate a grain, maybe using one of the slightly more rare, like strike input here. Make your grain length long, and then blast it through the internal reverb. This will have an effect. It's moving real slow though. Yeah, let's chill with that reverb maybe, huh? Because that was insane. Still too much. My God, man. With your reverb. We can help it with reverb. So if you couldn't tell, this is basically... I should have just said this is basically going to be a drone. And I'm comfortable with that, because I really enjoyed the last time when I just did a drone. Thought that was lovely. Okay. I'm like, how I want to do this. Oh, you know what the easy way to do this would be? Just use the black and blue, the Oscar Tria, in swarm mode, and add a sub. That way, we don't need to give it a note from a sequencer or anything like that. You could do it with the chain sub, but you'd have to supply it an offset voltage in one of the volt per octaves. And frankly, that sounds like a hassle coupled with a burden. So, you know, I'm just going to avoid that whole line of questioning. Here's a question for you, kids. Every once in a while, do you find yourself talking like old Jack Burton? May have to rewatch Big Trouble in Little China tonight. Eh, er, eh, eh, Might as well. We'll do the duo here. But I want this on ladder mode. No resonance. Wait. We're sorry. You have plugged things in to the wrong port. Yep. It's true. Okay. Then we go strange middle connector. We should have silky smooth saw sounds. Fuck yeah, we do. Okay. So there's your detune and number of voices. Yeah, more is probably better in this case. We can pan. Really doesn't need a sub. Is this better? Kind of like that high one with the sub. Yeah, that kind of makes me happy. It's kind of nasty. Of course, going to have to occasionally modulate this thing. We could go super weird too. That would be fun, sort of fun. Like, let's go channel D here. And I want like a really long decaying envelope into pitch. The thing is, we're going to have to tame the voltage a lot, and that's something we can affect too with some sort of modulation. Who's got a really slow occasional trigger for me somewhere? There's a lot of places that we can do that, actually. Actually, the super convenient one would be right next to it in the stochastic function generator. So I'm going to put one of these channels on low, and then every single time the cycle triggers, going from low voltage to high voltage. Probably mostly drone-ish stuff today. But you never know, because I do like sequencing sawtooth waves through filters, and it is a hobby of mine. But we have a lot of other sounds that we will be adding to this, so in fact, one could take this same output of the stochastic function generator and use that as modulation on the filter. Yeah, I understand. Trust me, I do. They're fun. I don't do droney stuff. This is more of an Eno style soundscape. So this is going to be probably at least 10 different voices. Yeah, this is just one small part. What I want to have happen though is this occasional like in the bass, and then like lots of delay on it too. So you don't notice the delay until the pitch decides to like freak out, and then it's like, oh, it's all echoey. Holy shit! So let's try something here. I'm gonna take this output, and then I'm gonna go, idiot, you need a longer cable, and then I'm gonna go with this cable. We're going to take this output of the stochastic... God, that's hard to say. Stochastic function generator, for God's sake. Stop being so hard to say. I'm going to affect this guy with the level. Okay? So the CV is going to affect the level, but just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. You got to be careful. Keep in mind that every single volt is an octave. So if you're like, it needs 10 volts, it's just going to go... and you won't even hear it, and you'll be like, what is happening? And then way at the end of the envelope, it's going to be like, did you hear it? See? It existed there for just a second. It just went, and it was really cool. So, suck it. Alright, I may have to adjust that CV, but we can always just adjust it from here, too. Give it some more juice. Alright, let's put that guy to bed. I do want this to be vaguely unsettling sounding. And I mean, the R-bar track is already, like, making up half of it, you know? Yeah, the R-bar is always out of tune, also. So yeah, there's already a few things going. We got spooky voices. We got weird choral singing. So lots of stuff happening. Something in the middle to high range. How could we do this? We could do an occasional gate into a burst generator to trigger like a distant bell, maybe with like rings. That'd be cool. That'd be cool, bro. Let's do that. Murder house. Like a distant, okay, so there's this, okay, bye. Clarence, did you clean your room? Sorry, just kidding. There's this piano piece that I really love. Yeah, it's called Les Gibets, or the gibbet, just, you know, where you hang people, you know, like execution, hang kind of thing. And it's by Ravel. And the whole song has this like repeatedly softly clanging B flat going bing, bing. And that's supposed to be the sound of like a bell ringing, and like it's very evocative. Like you see these like bodies hanging there and stuff, and it's, you know, kind of gruesome. So I imagine this kind of like clanging bell in the distance. It's probably gonna need to be filtered. I don't know if I'm sold on this choice yet, but we'll find out. It's just, first thing you got to do is like set up the triggers and make sure that the tone is correct, and then like I'm gonna have to slow down the triggers because I don't want it to happen constantly, because that would be, you know, incredibly annoying. Clang, 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 clang. It's just like, shut the, yeah. It's got to just come in and out and be like in the background and be like, wait, what's that spooky sound? Holy shit, I'm gonna crap my poopers. I'm gonna poop my crappers. Oh my god. So right now we got nothing because we don't have anything triggering that there burst generator. Let's just do it manually, you know? We'll do it manually here. So now I go like this. Hey. I mean, like, you know, pretty much that tempo. No. You need to go a little bit longer, though. And maybe not be so obnoxious. Okay, so here's the problem, right? I want this to decrease in volume with each one of these little doohickeys, right? And it ain't doing that because, well, all it's doing is hitting the strum input on my mini rings. Sorry, nano rings. It's 1/1000th the size of rings. Okay, anyways, sorry. Thanks, Linnaeus. Yeah, I mean, it's summer. I don't have much stress, so like I can be a goofball. This is my natural state of being. So it's just hitting strum, and the strum is just like, I'm gonna play if I see a voltage that's above 3 or something like that, right? So it's not really doing a volume thing. It's the yes or a no. So what we need to do, right, is to take this guy and bring it into. Oh, this would be interesting, actually. This would be sort of cool. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know, but we can try. So what we can do here is duplicate this signal and just bring it in as filter modulation, you know? Because then, as the burst generator gets less, because it does, it's just like boom, boom, boom. Each one's a little bit less as it hits. That should basically make it work right, sort of. Not exactly what I was thinking. Okay, see, there's a weird cutoff with the shape. Do it. Do it. Do it. See? If we go fast, how does that sound? Okay, so that's really weird because it's like there's no fast attack. What up with that? Do I have to duplicate that thing into another envelope to actually give me the shape that I need? It seems like I might have to do that. That's, what a pain in the ass. But that's okay. That's easy. Easy like Sunday morning. That's why I'm easy. Easy like Sunday morning. Okay, and we go like fast attack, but just like just a real basic AD envelope, and then that can go into L filter O. So yes, we're gonna cross modulate the quadrax and channel 3 and blah, 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 blah. Ah, yeah, that's better. All right, too fast. Now, too slow. shape a little bit more here. There we go. Now we're talking. All right, now we go tuning nutty here, and we'd be like, first of all, which one's the bell one? Why you all sound the same? Hmm? You all sound like a string. There's the bell one. Yeah, okay. Now we're talking. Okay, now, here's the thing. Can I just get a mono out of this? This is legitimately a stereo in. Oh, you know what? Let's just not make this stereo. Let's just make it mono, because it doesn't matter, really, at this point. We'll just pull one of these guys, and then we'll pull this here guy, and that'll go into the, I think the 2/3 per octave should work okay. I don't know. The FM in on this, which has an attenuator duacky, it's weird. It's really slow. Like, the response time is really slow, and I don't get that. And by I don't get that, I mean I hate it! With every fiber of my being. With the white-hot passion of 1,000 burning suns. Okay, maybe not that much. This guy, these guys, we're going to give him his own special reverb.
That's right, little buddy. You get your own reverb.
Okay. Oh, now you're talking. Now you're talking. Heck yeah. I didn't even have to, like, adjust anything. That's just good. I think it does need to be slower. I have done drum and bass once, but I will definitely try it again probably this week. So I'm normally a music school teacher, and it's summer, so I have my summers off. And it's like 95 degrees every single day. So what better thing than to go to the studio and make music on the modular? You know? Yeah, actually we can boost up the reverb time on that, make it a little bit longer. Now, okay, so what's weird is it's really not... It's not changing the, It's not changing the amplitude of that envelope. Like, at all. It's doing the exact same thing that it was before. Which I guess makes sense. It's really annoying. I guess what we can do then is, let's see how it sounds with a good amount of delay on it. In fact, yeah, let's put it into the C legs, actually. We can skip that whole reverb chain there. Just put it into C legs with a good amount of fog. And then let's see how that sounds compared. Do it. Okay, that's really cool. Now, this is our magical cable, and we need something to trigger this, and I don't know what that's going to be. We could do an AND gate and use some kind of happy logic function. We could even do something kind of weird here. And we could... Let's try... Yeah, well, I mean, hey, the lesson is simple. Filters. Filters are the best thing ever, you know? And I'm a firm believer in having lots of filters that do interesting things. Let's make this a 16-part sequence, and what I'm going to do is do the trigger in is going to be one of these gates on the gamut repetitor, okay? I do probably want to, well, we can't really slow it down. If that's the case, then what we could do is instead give this guy a different clock out from here, which will be a much slowed down clock. There, okay. So basically on step 1 is the only step that I have a high voltage on. Okay, so we put that in here, in yonder, and then we give it something else like, oh, please reach, for the love of God, you don't reach, you bastard. See ya. Now what I was going to do is give it one of the more seldom gate outputs on the pulses expander of the Turing machine. Right, so only when that thing fires and we happen to be on step 1 will it fire off the bells, which is not going to happen very often. So I may need to adjust a couple of things here to make sure that we... Hi! Okay, let's chill on that. Hey, Michael. What's going on? I think a wind would be a really good idea. Having some wind blowing in the background is always a spooky thing. It's always spoopy. So we should definitely avail ourselves. Maybe this is when I use the Z-verb. I think that's a good idea. We'll give it its own all-encompassing reverb. So we got nothing because we don't have white noise plugged in until and then there. What happens if we just throw a sloths directly into that? The fastest sloths. It's going to be way too much is what it's going to be. It's not the worst. I like the tempo of it. It fits wind a little bit more. So let's throw it into motion meter channel 4 right here. And we'll just give it a third. Okay, you can shut up for a second then. Let's see what we got so far. Throw everything together. See what it sounds like. R-Bar is going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Described in his own third series, Life is Real Only Then When I Am, how he came to the conclusion in 1902 that he had to renounce the use of these powers for his personal end or he'd be lost. But he made a vow that he would never use them except to help people or to further the work. He kept that vow for 1 week. Described in his own third series, Life is Real Only Then When I Am, how he came to the conclusion in 1902 that he had to renounce the use of these and it was very foolish
That's the thing, you just buy one module at a time. It's like, hey, what happened to our savings? What's that giant spacecraft control panel? I make robot farts with it. Okay, now we need more stuff. Yeah, definitely need more stuff. What else could we do? Could do something really weird. I like the sound of really weird. I think really weird would be fun. How are we gonna do this? What are we gonna do? Gonna go like this? Think so. Okay. And then can actually affect the drive with stuff, which is good. What I want to do is set up, let's just use channel D, and we'll make it a weird shape. There's some shapes in here that are super duper chaotic. They're just basically like vertical lines of various lengths, like these funky ones, man. In the Y's. Now, if you have this on this is channel D, so we put this guy on like infinite repeat, and we basically just let it go. But now you put that in the volt per octave, right? Now this is going to be crazy huge, so we're going to have to modulate the output voltage of this quite a bit, because anytime you're affecting pitch, it's going to go up a lot. I'm thinking this is going to have to be VCA'd also. So I'm kind of just like preparing for that. So let's just do that. Especially since it's real close. Or wait, no, we can just use the drive. Okay. Also putting this through the C legs though. Warning, this could be chaotic and super weird. Yeah. So, if you change your time, the wrong one. Hey, Kyle. Like, okay, here's a good start, but Now we could just throw sloths into the drive. Be like, here, let's just turn the drive all the way down. And wait for it to, like, turn itself up to positive voltage. And then it'll just zippity zippity zip zip zip. Juicy robot fart there. Okay, though, as long as we're modulating stuff, let's modulate this here envelope with a little bit of level. Just a little tiny little bit. There. And then that should give us a nice range. If it ever makes a sound. Okay, so what I'm curious about is, does that drive input give us a... Is that like the maximum that it's going to get when I have the knob up? Because as soon as I plug in a modulation source into the drive, it immediately goes quiet. I am actually going to see if I can look that up in a manual real quick. Did I download a manual for that thing? No. Boo! Boo this man! Nano ST font man you Manuel. All right. Just do it. Do it. Do it. Here's a manual. Give me the manual. Give me the manual. Do the thing. Maybe it doesn't really need anything. Then stereo VCA with soft clipping. Okay, that's all it says. Input, output, blah, blah, blah. Stereo core filtering. Drive VCA. If the voltage is... Shut up with your ads. I already have it. Voltage exceeds 10 volts. The input will be soft clipped. Okay. Drive CV is connected. This control becomes an attenuator. Oh. Well, that's friggin' cool. Okay. Nice. So we can turn that all the way up. But then why am I not getting... Oh, there it is. I just heard it. Barely. Okay. We're just going to kind of let that percolate and do its thing. Right? I guess? Sure. Why not? Okay. Let's see, what else? Oh, and of course, there it goes. The other thing would be to, of course, modulate the filter because, you know, they kind of have to go together. As a matter of fact, we can use the same sloths for the frequency that we're using. that's probably good. Okay, something else. Something else. Or let's just let it all play right now and see what happens.
conclusion in 1992 that he had to renounce the use of these powers for his personal end or he could not. He made a vow that he never used them himself or for his work. And he kept that vow with one reason why.
sequencers in this track. For all you newcomers here, welcome to Move Lee, the satanic modular channel. How's it going? It's a joke, by the way. Waiting for something. I want to hear the bells one more time. The bells were a hit. It should actually trigger, not super uncommonly, to be honest. There we go. Oh, the bells. Anyways, yeah, that was fun. I do want to do another drum and bass session this week, I think. I think that'd be kind of cool. But it's going to take a little wrangling to make it different or more interesting. So, it's something to kind of think about here. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, have a good one, y'all.